What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Phase 6, your source for music, business, motivation, and support. It's your boy, Sirr Love, and we're continuing on with the series where we're talking about the process of buying beats online. Should you buy beats online? Should you not buy beats online? What's that process like? I don't know. We already did a video talking about kind of the history and just laying out the general concept. You should really start there. We also did a video talking about the cons, but in life, I like balance, so I'm gonna do a video talking about the pros. We did a video talking about the pros already, and I like balance, so I'm going to do a video talking about the cons now. So let's jump into it. Roll the intro. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. I gave you guys 8 reasons why you should potentially buy a beat online. This time I'm going to give you 8 reasons why you shouldn't buy a beat online. So let's jump into it. Number one is the most obvious reason of all. Number one is that a lot of other people are also going to have the same track as you. So if you're an artist and you're looking for individuality and that's important to you, you're generating a sound, you're creating a special, type of energy around your project, you might not want a whole bunch of other artists sounding similar to you, and especially if they have the exact same track, it makes it that much easier to sound similar to you. You also run against the problem of, now that multiple people have the same track, you're trying to monetize your music, you're trying to monetize your track, and it gets a lot more difficult because all of you that are using the track are turning on various online features such as YouTube monetization, and YouTube is only going to credit one of those tracks, not all of those tracks. And there are situations where they credit multiple, but it's not intentional. At some point, it's going to divvy down to one person, and everybody else is getting either their music taken down or ads thrown on their music, and they're not benefiting from the music. And you may find yourself in that situation if you're not getting an exclusive. So number one, obviously, multiple people having the exact same track as you in this time period with so many indie artists out there, multiple could easily be hundreds or thousands, depending on how much traffic that producer is getting. Number two is pretty easy. It may be difficult to get in contact with the seller of the track. Now, many of you guys say, well, why would I want to get in contact with the seller of the track? Might be because you want to know more about the beat. You want to get the stems for the beat. You downloaded the track and pieces were missing from the download. You want to talk about some of the things in the contract. You want to make changes in the contract. You want to build a relationship with that producer and do more things with that producer in the future. A situation comes up and you just got a movie placement or something of that nature, and you need the producer to sign off on something in order for you guys to get this movie placement. If the producer isn't, easy to contact, it can cause a lot of problems for you up front trying to purchase the beat, immediately when you download the content if things are missing, or long term if some business comes from this particular record and you need to contact the producer for any particular reason. It can become a problem. You always want to be able to contact the people that you do business with. You want people to be somewhat tangible because stuff happens, positive stuff, negative stuff, but you want to make sure that as a unit you can make sure the business gets handled. Which brings me to number three. Number 3, very simple. Every producer making beats online is not about their business. Let that sink in real quick. What do I mean they're not about their business? I mean, right now, you guys know it. A lot of you all are making music right now because it's a hustle. It's a way to make money. You're watching my channel right now because you're trying to figure out how to make money, right? At the end of the day, every producer doesn't want to be the greatest producer of all time. They don't want to be the next Dr. Dre or Pharrell or, whatever other producer, Stargate, whatever other producer that you're looking at and you're idolizing. Everyone doesn't want to be that. Some people are doing this just to make a quick $30 and they're trying to figure out how to increase their sales, trying to get as many people as possible to buy as many beats as possible. And they're not really concerned with the back end business, landing major placements and different things of that nature. They really just want to check, right? Those types of individuals it may be difficult to do business with. Additionally, you have a lot of producers that are making beats and they might be really, really talented. They might love this. They might be passionate about making beats, but they don't know the business. They don't understand anything. Now situations are getting real. Things are going to the next level, and they've completely botched your situation, brought in crazy attorneys because they're scared, they don't know what's going on. All these people are in your pockets taking your money, radio, and everyone else is like, oh, this record got too much going on, I don't want to touch it. You know, the record's getting pulled down from all these different places because you and the producer are on the same page, because the producer doesn't understand the business. The producer may feel like, hey, I'm entitled to more because I made the beat and the beat is what's driving the song. And you may say, no, we're supposed to do half and half. And the producer might say, I don't understand that. That's not how I understand that it's supposed to go. Now, regardless who's right, you have two people with two opposing opinions, and those opposing opinions are going to result in business getting effed up down the line. All right, so I want you guys to be aware that everyone doing beats is not about their business, and that's something you should be thinking about. Which brings me to number 4. Diving deeper into this same problem, but I want to put it in another category, which I call business ethics. Everybody is not ethical in reference to how they handle business. Everyone is not, going by moral practices while they're pursuing their career. Okay. One of the biggest problems with interacting with anyone online, whether it's a producer or songwriter or any online business, is you never understand the intentions of the person on the other side of the computer, on the other side of the screen. Do they really have your best interest in mind? Are you guys on the same page? You don't have the ability to really build that relationship up front a lot of times because you're just buying beats from random producers, and then something becomes hot and then you decide to build a relationship. But now there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of other people involved. There's a lot of eyeballs involved. There's a lot of different influence. Think about it like a relationship. If you're a guy, you were the girl. If you're a girl, you were the guy. Or if you're a guy, girl, whatever your business is. If you were in a relationship, right? How many people do you honestly want day to day giving you advice about your relationship? Think about the people that do give you advice on your relationship right now today. How many competing views do you get? Someone says, oh, you should leave him. Someone says, oh, no, you should stay with him, girl. Someone says, different things. Oh, you guys can work it out. Maybe you should see counseling. Maybe you should go to therapy. Like, imagine that same concept in the realm of money. A whole bunch of people, the lawyer saying this, the business manager saying this, the regular manager saying that, the accountant saying this, the artist is saying that, their mama saying this, their daddy saying that, their girlfriend, spouse, whatever saying this. Everyone's in everyone's ear, and two people are having a very hard time working a relationship out because they're dragging on the thoughts of all these other types of individuals that are in their circle, which makes business ethics a real hard sticking point. Who sits down and says, I'm going to do what's right? Very few people. Very few people in the midst of all that and a big check in front of them says, what's the right thing to do? Most people will say, how do I get the most for me and mine? I believe that what I did was the best contribution to the record, best contribution to the song. Song wouldn't have been a hit without me. I made the beat, and then the only thing you did is you hummed a hook that had the same melody as what was in the beat. So really, I made the hook. So I deserve part of the hook and the beat because the only thing you did is put words to my melody. That's wrong. But who's to say what's right or wrong until you go to court and you dragged out the record and you effed up your situation, right? Business ethics, big piece of that. Moving on to the next number. We're at number 5. Number 5 is bad business contracts. Oh my God. In this particular situation, I've been talking about this throughout this series. Right now, there are a lot of bad contracts when it comes to buying beats online. And it's really because producers don't understand, a lot of producers, I won't say all, but there are a lot of producers that don't understand the business. They're just copying and pasting contracts from other people and popping their name in there and not understanding what it really means. And I understand, hey, I make contracts available on my site and people do the exact same thing, right? The difference is, I have a bunch of videos teaching people what it means and how to go about it and trying to educate people on the business. A lot of times individuals will just rip something off the internet, throw their name on it, throw it online and say, I know I'm protected. I know I'm good. But they're not thinking about the holistic, health of the record itself. Is this contract good for the person buying the music on the other end? Is this contract good for the record and the health and success of the record? I mentioned in the first video in this particular series that the whole idea of this concept came from producers making beats available for artists that wanted to release mixtapes for free. Now, these records are being sold, they're being streamed, money is being generated. So the contracts that you use for free music and the contracts you use for streaming music is completely different. The contracts that you use for selling hard copies versus streaming they can be antiquated. There can be things missing. There can be some things in there that prevent the success of the song. Therefore, there are a lot of bad contracts, and a lot of people don't know how to vet these things out. One of the things we're going to try to do this year, if it's not already done now while you're watching the video, is make better versions of these contracts available for producers that are selling and leasing their beats, or for artists or managers that are buying these beats that want to turn around and offer a different contract to the person they're buying the track for, so that everybody can be successful. But bad contracts is a systematic stigma within this particular category of buying independent beats online, and it's something you have to worry about. Always read the contract. Always read the contract. If you're going to save money, just save money and don't try to make money off the track. But if you're going to try to make money off the track, you need to understand what's in the contract, and you're probably going to end up buying the more expensive version if you're serious about your craft. Number six is music removal. I've already talked before. I mentioned it earlier in another state, but I really want to make another part of this conversation, but I really want to make a whole line item for this. Music removal. Being that your record is available to so many different people, the chances of your record getting removed from a platform is a lot higher, because a lot of individuals are, turning on music monetization, which triggers an algorithm which scans the internet and makes sure that that particular record, going back to a particular ISRC code, receives the check. So if somebody else released a record before you, the same exact beat, and the system recognizes that track, they might send the money that way. Or they might say, hey, we're just going to take your record down because you're violating the laws, or blah, blah. And now you're not getting the just due for your record because somebody else has already put that record out there. Now, there's a lot of intricacies to this. It's a lot more complicated than what I'm just saying. Algorithms as a whole are always complicated and ever changing. But why put yourself in this type of situation? Also, remember the registration process. When it's going to ASCAP and BMI and CSAC and whatever other PRO, if you're international, they have to figure out who's getting paid what for this same record. Now your royalty checks are getting held up. What if, someone signs a deal with a major record company? The major record company goes in and revamps everything and makes sure that they have ownership over everything. They're probably going to do it 100% right. And if a whole bunch of independents have not done it right, they're going to be the first to do it right. They're going to claim a lot of ownership. And now you have to turn around and go to war with these guys and pay for expensive lawyers with a company that has more money than you potentially, and go to war over your records. It could be a big headache, right? It could be a really big headache. If you're buying music and you want to use that music long term, you're trying to sell, and you're trying to go platinum with this particular record, you need to own the record. All right? You need exclusive rights to use the record. You don't need 50 other people using the track. All right? Which brings me to number 7. Very simple. Lawyers. I just talked about lawyers. I've been talking about lawyers throughout this whole process. Lawyers can play such a role in this process. At the end of the day, if you find yourself in a situation where your record does benefit, does take off, does become successful in some type of way, lawyers are going to be involved or get involved if you don't have full ownership of the record and you and the producer are not on the same page. We talked about ethics, those other type of things earlier. If y'all are not on the same page, lawyers are going to come in, and if you ever watch my channel, you know that I talk about lawyers in a positive light and a negative light. Lawyers are hired guns. They're enforcers of whoever's law is paying them at the end of the day. So you're going to have to hire your hired guns. They're going to have to hire their hired guns. And both of your hired guns are going to drain both of you guys of all of your money. And you may lose out long term on any financial gain because you're paying lawyers to go to war over records. Not to mention, it could be a situation where it's 4 or 5 people in multiple lawsuits over the same record. Now, chances of this happening, how often does this happen? It doesn't happen as often as you would think in reference to multiple conflicts, but in reference to, a track coming from online and trying to go to the next level, that happens very, very, very often. At this point, there's a lot of standard practices with dealing with that, and a lot of times the little guy loses. Just being honest. The little guy loses. You don't want a situation where you have to go to war and you don't have the bullets to go to war. All right? Which now brings me to my last con, which is going to be number 8. Number 8 is, drum roll please, there is hope. Number 8 is there is hope. I don't want to create this scare dynamic because a lot of people tend to watch the con videos before they watch the pro videos, or a lot of times people in general are more drawn to negativity. I want you to understand that there is hope. There are ways to work with producers who make beats online. I am not anti-buying beats from people that make beats online. I think it's an amazing service. I think it's something that's necessary and a necessity in the independent community. However, I do think that we need some type of governance around this thing. There's no accreditation. There's no I'm approved by so-and-so that says I'm good at business or that I'm going to do what I said that I'm going to do. There is no measure. There is no approval system throughout this community. And that's what makes it very sticky and muddy because we don't know who to trust. We don't know who's doing it the right way. However, there are some best practices that you can start doing to take advantage of these producers. Well, not take advantage as an exploit, but to begin working with these producers in a positive way. In producers, there are some best practices for you to begin working with artists in a more positive, mutually beneficial way. Okay, now all these different methods is a whole nother conversation, so I'm going to talk about some of the best practices on the next video. The next video is going to be all about best practices, but I do want you guys to be aware of all the cons, these 7 cons that I've already listed above, and I want you to pay attention to the pros in the last video because you really have to weigh your options and figuring out what direction you want to go. If you're watching the con first, go back and watch the pro video because at the end of that video, I talk about what type of artists should and should not consider buying beats online. I'm not going to repeat that here because I already talked about it. And also watch the first video in this particular series so that you can understand how we got to this point anyway, right? I don't go too far back in history. I mean, leasing has been around for a long time, but I do start with when leasing got prominent and when these type of businesses, as far as selling beats online, started taking off and what drove that, so you can better understand context of how we got here and what it means to be here so that you can make better decisions. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you grow, the more you shine, the more you collect dimes, get pennies. I don't know. I'm trying to rhyme. Not my thing. Actually doing pretty good at it. But I don't know everything. I know a lot about a little bit about a lot. I'm trying to give you guys everything that I got. Go to www.phasevi.com. We're doing so much exciting, just so many exciting things on Phase 6 right now this year. If you're watching the YouTube content, you're going to fall in love with what we're starting to do with phase6.com. It's really, really exciting. Thank you to everyone that's been supporting the channel, that's been supporting the YouTube channel, that's been going to the website, supporting the website, that's been learning and growing. We're going to do some testimonial videos and get some things out there because a lot of people have been helped from this particular channel, and we want to continue doing more. So yeah, send me a text if you want, shoot an email. If you got a question, send a tweet to phase vi_6. I don't know, it's gonna pop up on the side, and I'm out of here. Deuces.